propaganda then spread. Tongues will have to confess. Oh, I'm in bondage, living is a mess, and I've got to rise up, alleviate the stress. No longer will I expose my weakness. He who seek knowledge begins with humbleness. Work 7 to 7, yet me still penniless. For the food up on me table, master God bless. All of the needy and shelterless. Ethiopia awaits all prince and princess. Till I'm laid to rest. Yes, always be depressed. There's no life in the West. I know the East is the best. Yes, propaganda then spread. Tongues will have to confess. What could have been about the East? Everybody want a piece. Africa free Africans, man. Cause Mosiah speak. Unification out from body feet. What a day when we walking down Redemption Street. Ban up our head. Bible in a hand, one and all. Make we try the promised land. But you go down a Congo, stop in a Shashamane land. The city of Ferraris where Selassie come from. In Addis Ababa, then Botswana. Yes, Kenya, I end up in a Ghana. Oh, what a beauty, my lifestyle behold. Holy Ethiopia, protect me from the cold. Till I'm laid to rest. Yes, always be depressed. There's no life in the West. I know the East is the best. All the propaganda then spread. Tongues will have to confess. Organize and centralize. Come as one. Overseas shall be so many more than sand. Some new one replenish. Pure and clean and for too long we've been under this ban. Some a save a bag of riches and them empty hand. Once them is stupid and not fun you can. Easier for a camel to enter through an eagle line than it is for a rich guy to enter in a Zion. Take it from Iman. So till I'm laid to rest. Yes, always be depressed. There's no living in the West. I know the East is the best. Lord, propaganda them spread. Tongues will have to confess. Oh, I'm in bondage. Living is a mess, and I've got to rise up, alleviate the stress. No longer will I expose my weakness. He who seek knowledge begins with humbleness. Work 7 to 7, yet me still penniless. For the food up on me table, master God bless. All of the needy and shelterless. Ethiopia awaits all prince and princess. Till I'm laid to rest. Yes, always be depressed. There's no life in the West. I know the East is the best. All the propaganda them spread. Tongues will have to confess. What could have been some on the East? Everybody want a piece. Africa free Africans, mark up Mosiah speak. Unification, no number defeat. What a day, we're walking down Redemption Street.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon again. Once more, good afternoon. Welcome to the Open Policy Club Youth-Oriented Radio. This is your radio, not my radio. You're live at Men's Motivational Monday in studio with the AR, DJ Phoenix, and Mr. Michael Senon. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm great. Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. It's Michael Senon, and I'm here to give you a small portion of my testimony on what I've been through in my life and how you can prevent your kids and yourself from ever going in my shoes.
Right. He's here to share his life-based experience with us, okay? So listen attentively. This topic is very informative. Please like, share, and comment. But also tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Right, I don't know the area, let's do it. Good night again, sir. Alright, so I still trying to process. I still can't believe you had asked. Yeah. Look totally different.
Yeah, change, man. When you grow, you mature more, and you just basically go from one process to the next, and you just change your life, you know? And your hair ain't gonna last with you forever, but the knowledge and experience that you have through your life will last forever. And that's what we're here to talk about today, you know, the change. Because one time when I was wearing a ras, no disrespect to anybody that is or do wear a ras, I just was acting wild and crazy. And I had this look, you know, this wild and rugged look. And, you know, some people wear the ras nice, you know what I'm saying? But I just had it in a wild and rugged way, you know? Yeah, but the thing that I've come to talk about is basically my experience and how I left Trinidad when I was 3 years old, and how I went to America, and how I got myself in some trouble. And through them troubles, it helped me now to learn to appreciate things when it comes in your lap. When you get things and it's inside of you being a better person,
Mm-hmm.
these are the things that you must grab and hold on to, like this police youth club. When you get something that's telling you to do something with your life and not waste your life, not put your life in a prison cell, not put your life in a casket, you have to work with these programs. And that's what this is about, because I went to America when I was young and I got into all sorts of trouble. And when I got myself in all sorts of trouble, a lot of times it was hard to get out of trouble. And a lot of times your friends that take you, they be the ones that fry you. They don't bring you back. They fry you in the end.
True,
you
true,
know
true.
and that's why this police youth club, the Orpone Youth Club, is so important. And that's why I'm here no matter what. Anytime they call, that's why I'm here to support and help, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that the youth is the future.
All time,
And being
all
that they the
time.
future, we have to protect and nourish these youths and their mindset, because a lot of times they look at things from TV. And when they look at these things
True.
from TV, they would see that a person getting killed, but they don't know that that was just Hollywood. When
Mm-hmm.
it's all said and done, the person get up, he's still
Mm-hmm.
alive.
Yeah, and
You
then
know,
they go practice it.
Exactly. So, we got to, be here to support the youth and push the youth forward, so that way they can get educated and knowing that a lot of times the things you see on TV is not actually real. It's television. It
True,
tells the eye
true.
of vision. It tells
Yeah.
the eye of vision, but that don't necessarily mean it's a positive vision. That's why a lot of people wind up following different coaches. We was talking about something on how things started in America, with people with sagging pants, and the thing is that, like I explained to you, a lot of people couldn't deal with it, and a lot of people was hurting themselves, and they took a lot of people belts, and they took a lot of people's shoestrings, and they just couldn't deal with prison life. But they say don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Don't do time, or don't let time do you. You do your time. You know.
Yes, that's true.
But what I've come to talk about, to put this in a nutshell, is basically, what this program has to offer to the kids, and I always want to be a part of that. I always want to be a part of something that's helping the youth grow up. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have that support. Well, I had it,
Mm-hmm.
but I ignored it because I was looking at the television. I was looking at
True,
how
true,
things was
true.
on TV, and I started following the wrong crowd. I started following the wrong people. And since I've been in Trinidad, I've been around a lot of right people. I've been around people that support me. But we have to understand that we dealing with the youth. It's precious. And it's precious in the sense that you have youth that really don't know. They don't know left from right, and they getting involved in different gangs, and they getting involved with different mindsets, or different guys' mindset. And they'll follow this
Mm-hmm.
guy, and when they
Mm-hmm.
get locked up, then they in prison for the rest of their life. And this guy don't even really care about them, who's actually pushing them out there to be uh how would you say, be in a situation where they not even really comfortable with. A lot of times it's peer pressure. And we have
Yeah.
to understand that inside of peer pressure, some people don't even really want no parts of being in trouble, but they still get in trouble because of the peer pressure of their friends and what they think their friends will
Mm-hmm.
perceive them.
True,
you
true.
know so sometimes, you have to understand the person and understand that that's not your life. You got to understand what your life is, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times these guys will give you drugs to sell, and when you don't get it, you're in a situation where you have to pay for it, or you can get hurt for it, and you really don't want to be no drug dealer. And guess what? You're not really built for to be a drug dealer, but you still jump in that. And that's why a lot of times a lot of youth will find themselves killed, because they doing grown man things, and you
Mm-hmm.
still young in mind, and you don't even understand that lifestyle. All you did is hear that lifestyle or seen it on television, which told the eye a vision on how things should be, but that necessarily means that's how things are.
True, very true,
So
very
when you
true.
understand how things are and you jump into this, a lot of times you get hurt. And that's why this youth club is so important. Because this youth club is actually there to walk you along and help you and show you that this lifestyle don't lead you nowhere but down to the wrong end of the road. and you'll fall off a cliff, or you get yourself killed, or you get yourself put in a casket, or you get yourself brought to jail, and you'll figure out how to, because the United States prison is a little bit different in the United States, but down here, like we was discussing off air, you know,
Yeah.
it's not the same,
It's totally
and
different.
it's totally
Totally
different. And this is what we have to understand, and that's why it's totally different, the mindset of the youth, and you really have to constantly keep pushing to the youth.
all right. That was really informative. That was very true too, because as you said before, the youth is actually the future. You
Hmm.
understand? If you don't take care of them, it's like a plant. If we don't teach them how to grow, however they grow, we have to accept.
But see,
And
like,
mostly sometimes it's the fault of adults. Yes, some you just have guidance and choose to ignore it or go astray, but that's their part. And
and
what's for them?
and let me add on to something you said. Youth is like a plant.
True.
What you have to understand is just like most plants, you got to get the right soil. The right soil is the police youth club. Not only that, they got to get the light, the sunlight. The sunlight is the energy that the youth club give to these young gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? You got to get the right water. You got to have enough water. The water is what they saying to put this in in the young brothers' minds, so that way these guys can basically have some other things on their minds, something more positive in opposed to something more negative. Because most guys, these guys, most times these individuals or these young men would be there and they would listen to more nonsense before they listen to somebody positive.
True. 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 I actually don't know why that is, but I guess with us, with us have a tendency to cling. Well, when I mean cling, like attach,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
whoever sounds like they can relate to us, because
Well,
like
when
people
I
as use it sometimes.
when I was growing up, I was looking at most of the guys that was popular because I thought that was cool. You know,
True.
I was looking at most of the guys that had most of the women, most of the guys
Mhm.
that was doing a lot of robberies, most of the guys that was just doing a lot of foolishness, and I thought wrong was right. You
True.
know what I'm saying? And a lot of time, wrong is wrong. All the way across the board, wrong is wrong. But a lot of people think that wrong is right. Just like you may have somebody that may rob somebody and say, well, my family is hungry, so I robbed a lady. And they
But that,
thinking that they doing
yeah,
something right for their family, but look what you did to this woman here. You're
true.
doing something wrong. Wrong is wrong, and you just have to wait your turn for when your time come, because we all go through a struggle. Everybody will have to go through a struggle to get what they want, but that don't mean you have to hurt somebody. And a lot of times people look up to people because they like fast cars, fast food, fast money, and fast things. But that
Mhm.
also can bring you to jail fast or put you in a casket fast. But we follow the wrong things because we see that, the wrong things may be right, but in all actuality, the wrong things is the wrong things, and it'll put you in the wrong place. Always. Always.
Always, for real, for real. I don't know, but to youths, it hasn't been happening, has it? It has been happening for generations, but we just actually glamorize the lifestyle, you know.
Well, the thing about glamorizing a lifestyle is that it's easy to glamorize something negative because it looks
Mm.
cool, and a lot of people think that it's okay, but all in all reality, in all actuality, what you're doing is actually popularizing something for somebody else to follow. That's a negative concept. That's something that's negative, something that's
True,
totally
true.
against, what I'm saying, what your parents may have taught you, or what the youth club may have taught you. Or you may put yourself and say, you know what, I just want to look good. I want to have brands every day. But brands get old. Brands don't stay the same. That pair of sneakers don't stay the same for the next 5 years or the next
For
two
real.
years. Within the next month, just like if you look at the Samsung phones. Samsung, you can have a Samsung phone, but in the next few months, they bringing out a new phone. So everything gets old. Just like you get a pair of brand sneakers, after 2, 3 months, they got another pair of brand sneakers coming out. So these sneakers get old. So a lot of times you could put your life on the line to go hustle and bustle out there in the streets. And guess what? You're putting your life on the line for a pair of sneakers that's going to get old. When if you just take your time and go to school, you can have all the sneakers you want, because you may have your own business if you do what you need to do to get where you want to go. But a
Mhm.
lot of times we
Mhm.
don't. We glamorize something, and a lot of people get killed or hurt for a pair of sneakers because you're going
Yeah.
out there
I
hustling on the streets.
I actually knew somebody who died over a pair of sneakers.
Of course, of course. That happened in the States, that happened in many different countries, and I'm more than sure it happened in Trinidad, because at the end of the day, we studying the wrong things. You know, sometimes you just have to crawl before you walk, and you have to just basically walk before you run. And you have to
True,
take your
true.
time before you can run into something. Always take your time and say, you know what, let me weigh and judge if this is really worth this. And that's what this program is about, me coming here. So you can understand the consequences of your acts, because if you do something without thinking, then game over. Just like if you play draft. When you play draft, you just can't push your piece and say, oh, I made a mistake, let me try this over. Because that's not the rules of the game. So if you go push a gun in somebody's face and you hurt somebody, you go into prison. This is a thinking's man game, especially when we're dealing
Consequences.
with life. That's right. The consequences of your acts will always push you back, because you're doing something negative and you're putting yourself in a negative mindset around negative people, you know? But overall, you know, as long as you're doing something positive and you keep going, even if you don't be successful, at the end of the day, you're alive. You see?
True,
At the
true.
end of the day, at least you're alive. You don't have to be successful. You just be content. You know, you
Mhm.
just can live your life and just be a regular person and going to work every day and seeing life and just enjoying your family. There's many men that went out there now and not join their family because they made the wrong decision on that draft board. They moved the wrong way. You know, we're not in the same time zone. And that's what a lot of people is. They not in the same time zone. You know, some people in a whole negative time zone. And they're going through this negativity, and guess what? It brings them to a point where they so much in a negative mindset that it's hard to come out, and they think wrong is right, and they live negatively for the rest of their life, or they go to jail, or they be old and they just be cussing and carrying on, and their children follow the same way, because a lot of times the apple don't fall far from the tree.
True,
You
true,
know, so a
true.
lot of people see monkey do.
Hmm.
So a lot of people, you know, when they see certain things, not calling nobody no monkey or
Yes,
nothing,
yes,
it's
yes,
just the fact that when people see negative and they grow up around a lot of negative things, that's how they become, because their
That's
mind
that's
is
what they
growing
know.
like that, and
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
they know all
yeah.
their
They are
life.
programmed to that kind of lifestyle.
Exactly. You know, so that's what this thing is about. Me speaking, you know, what I'm saying, to some people, because not out of every area is a bad area.
True,
You know,
true.
you can have any areas that they say it's a bad place, don't go there. There's still positive people there. There's still people that go to work there. There's still good people in every bad area.
Very true, very true.
You know, so a lot of times what we have to do, no matter what area you're from, we have to speak out. We have to
Hmm.
talk to the youth. We have to speak to the youth. We have to keep pushing this, because this is about life and death. This is about people and their kids and the right choices or making the wrong choices. And we got to push the right choice day in and day out, no matter what, no matter how tired you are. You have to speak up. You have to talk to the youth. You have to tell them, hey, boy, you're doing the wrong thing. That's not the right thing to do. You know, you might not see it now, but let me come sit down. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you my story. Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you something I know from another God. Let me tell you my family in the States that's locked up. Let me tell you what he's going through. Because the difference between America and Trinidad is really nothing. Because they got people in Trinidad, they got
Yeah.
people in America. They got jails in Trinidad, they got jails in America. They got KFC in America, KFC in Trinidad. The difference is just the mindset of certain people looking on and saying, well, listen, that looks like it's a right thing to do, when it's actually the wrong thing to do.
Wow, wow, whoa. You see, right? So sometimes, I'm not picking up anything, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I just say, nah, like as growing up, we tend to really be attached to the ones that doing the wrong,
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't had anybody to taught us what was right,
Right.
right? So as kids go along, the cycle, the cy- it's
Well,
like life. You're like
right. But see,
history
that's
don't
why
change.
that's why you have to speak up, so we can break that cycle, break that chain. You know,
Mm.
that's what this program is about. That's what this youth club is about. You know what I'm saying? We ain't talking about old man club.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, talking about the youth club. Not pointing at the brother here. I'm just saying this is the youth club because we deal with the youth. We specialize
True,
in
true.
talking to the youth. We specialize in putting programs out there to the youth. We specialize in changing the youth mind before it get too corrupted. And that was another thing in the United States that a lot of people did. They fought for the fact that they didn't really want the youth around certain hardened criminals, because they
Hmm.
know that they would pick up these hardened ways.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And the thing is that we, as people down here, no matter what, we have to make sure that these youths, they're around positive people. These youth would see the fruits of their labor when they get older and they go to school, or we put positivity in their mind so that way you can be the next person that's running the Trinidad Carnival. You could be the next
Mm-hmm.
person that's working in any of these restaurants or whatever the case may be. And to some people, a person may look and say, "Oh God, look, he work at this restaurant." But at
Yeah,
the end of the
yeah.
day, you can say this: I get paid every week. I'm
Mm-hmm.
alive.
And
I'm
I
around
got a
my
job.
family, and I got a job,
True.
and I'm doing something with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of people ain't doing nothing positive with their life. They just running around until their numbers up and they get caught up in nonsense and they go to jail for about 10 to 20 years or whatever the case may be, because any day over one day is too much in
True,
prison.
true.
Any day over one day is too much in prison. But guess what? Some people is more comfortable with doing nonsense. So at the end of the day, we here to do positivity.
Right. Thank you for that, sir. Y'all, we'll be right back. We're about to go on a break. Remember, this is your radio, not my radio. Stay tuned.
Across the board, I mean, I show them so that when I universal. I read those on the prophet on Terry Lynn and Anthony Malvo. Watch out, bigger judgment in the earth. Full speed, full speed, let's know.
Right now, yeah. Love is coming at you. Twice the speed of lightning.
You're the man
And just comfort you.
let's know.
What you gonna do?
Wait a moment.
Love is coming at you. Twice the speed of lightning. To cuddle and just comfort you. What you gonna do?
Yo, what what you gonna do now, love coming at you. Yes, you could have black and white, purple or blue. What you gonna do now, love coming at you. Make sure you not mix up in the racial crew. What you gonna do now, love coming at you. Storm, this I wanna love curfew. What you gonna do now, love coming at you. Brand new, brand new, brand new. Yo,
Love is coming at you. Twice the speed of lightning. Love is coming. Just comfort you.
let's know.
What you gonna do?
Wait a moment.
Love is coming at you. Twice the speed of lightning. To cuddle and just comfort you. What you gonna do?
Yo, what you gonna do now, love coming at you. Yes, you could have black and white.
Right, y'all. Right, we are back. We are back at your radio. It's it's the AR again. Sorry, I don't know why I'm speaking so fast. What?
It's all right.
You know? Right, we're back at your radio with Mr. Michael Senan. Alright, sir. From what you just said, right? For me, personally, part of it is like judgments. Like, some youths don't know how to think for themselves, and sometimes it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's like, I actually saw certain youths come from a good home, everything intact, ordered by their parents, but they still take the wrong path.
Well, I've come to learn I came from a good family in the United States. My mother was a hardworking person. My father was a hardworking person. But I just liked it, the negativity. I was following all the guys because that's what they made look popular at the time. Not knowing that all them same guys, all of them went to jail, or all of them a majority of them is dead. Maybe
Mhm.
one or two made it
Mhm.
out, but a majority of them is dead, And I didn't know that, following the wrong crowd is faster. To follow the wrong people will put you in a prison cell or put you in a casket. Whereas following the right person will keep you out there. And even if, let's say, for example, you out there and you following a person and you ain't successful, and you can drink or you can smoke or whatever the case may be. Again, I keep emphasizing at least you are alive to see another day.
True.
Because you can always stop drinking and always stop smoking.
Yeah.
You can always stop these things. But one thing you can't stop is once you in that casket, you can't come out.
You cannot come back.
Once you take a dirt nap, that's it. Once you dead, you dead. So you can't come back from that. So even though we have faults, we can always, tap into our inner self and overcome these faults. You can overcome drinking. You can overcome smoking. I done smoke and drinking. I done stopped that over 20 some years now. I'm far from that. So it goes to show you that no matter what, you still can go and mess with drugs and still come out of it. And that's because I
True.
followed all wrong guys. I followed all the wrong guys. I was thinking that drinking was cool because I followed these dudes. I was thinking that smoking was cool. And here it is, I'm destroying my body. You know, at the end of the day, you have to understand this. Your body's a temple. This is a gift to wake up every day and to see, just to see different things around you. Your body's a temple. Let me tell you something. I want to give my prayers out to those that passed from this virus that was passing around.
Yeah, man.
But
Yeah,
the
man.
same,
Condolences.
yes, the same virus that's out there, this COVID-19, is snatching your very last breath. The same breath that God gives you every morning is the same breath that COVID-19 is snatching. And it's bad. So at least you have an opportunity to wake up and see, touch, taste, smell, and live.
True. True.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and
man.
a lot of times we'll follow the wrong guys and we won't have that opportunity to just to touch and taste and see and feel and be with our family. We here to basically push out the positive energy to those that's listening, to mothers, to fathers, to the young youth that's listening, or even if they played this over and looked at it on YouTube, because we're here to basically show them there's always a way out. There's always another opportunity. Don't jump at everything. Don't jump at these guys thinking that these guys is cool and these guys is going to protect you. Bullets come a dime a dozen, but your life only come one time.
Mm-hmm. True. True. All right. So, people, we'll be back. We're about to take a break. This is your radio. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Right, y'all, we are back at your radio. The AR on the inside of interviewing Mr. Michaelson and yes, sir, as we go again. Right, so, well, I've read that the age, you in the age of 3 to 4 years, right? You actually, you and your family, you, your mom, and your brother, actually moved to the United States to meet your father.
Yes.
Where parents had an argument and you all were first forced to choose who you wanted to stay with. At that very moment, because for me, I wouldn't know what to do,
Right.
especially at that age, you know. So at that very moment, how was the feeling?
Well, I don't really remember the moment in itself, like who I actually, why. I just think that I actually was a young kid, chose my father, chose my father because my father was staying in a certain area, and that certain area is where all my friends was at, where my mother was moving out of New York.
Oh,
So I just probably said, my father, what I'm saying? Even though my father was a good person and my father did work and my father was a carpenter, professional carpenter, and he know how to build a lot of things, but it was a young age, and I feel that, a part of the area was also a part of what brought me to stay in that area, which was Brooklyn, New York, which is where I learned a
whoa.
lot of stuff and which is where I got into a lot of trouble in
Really?
Brooklyn, New York. And a lot of the friends I've met is a lot of them is not here now because a lot of them followed the wrong people and the wrong individuals and they put them in the wrong place, which is in a casket.
Wow. Whoa. Alright. So seeing that you're this strong man, physically, mentally,
And spiritually.
and spiritually, right? Before you actually got to that point, would you like to share some of your experiences while during incarceration?
Sure. I went to I was incarcerated at 20 years old. I still followed the wrong crowds when I was in prison. I
Mm-hmm.
remember going to prison, and for me doing something foolish, they looked at me like I was some hero or something. I did
Yeah,
that. Maybe
yeah.
next time in our testimony you'll have me again. We'll go through some of
Of
the
course, of
details.
course.
Because I do not mind coming back anytime for the use. I'll
And we
be
don't
here.
we don't mind either
You
because
know.
this is a topic that we have to really put out there.
Right.
For those ears that listening,
Hmm.
yes, they need to
So,
know.
I went to prison when I was 20, and I still was following the wrong guys that brought me to jail. And it was actually like coming home in prison because all of my
Mm-hmm.
friends was there. The same friends I looked up to, the same friends I didn't, I wanted to stay around when I have to make that decision is the same friends that was in prison. So when I was in prison and I seen all these guys, it was like actually being home. And when I
Yeah.
went to prison, I was running around with these guys, and it got me in trouble, and it put me in a situation where, at that time, I did only 1 to 3 years. Inside of that 1 to 3 years that I actually did, I came back home. And the one thing I noticed about things in the United States is a lot of people reward you for bad behavior.
True, true. It's like even in Trinidad we have it. It's like when you go to jail,
And you
you
come
come out a
home.
hero.
Yeah, you come out,
you
they be like,
know?
eh.
Yeah,
And that's what
yeah.
happens in the United States. I remember first coming home. That night, guys came by, gave me money, gave me weed to smoke, marijuana to smoke, gave me money, gave me all kinds of stuff. And we hung out all night and just got drunk because they said you stood up like a man. And when I seen
Mm-hmm.
that, and these same guys that was in prison with me, and when I came home, some of these guys was home already, and these guys was already doing crime already. And when they came to my house and they gave me drugs and money and so forth and so on, I was like, all right, cool, this is what it is. But that promoted me to get into more trouble
True, true.
because I was thinking that the wrong thing is the right thing. Being around these wrong guys would be the right idea and the right mindset, but nobody pulled me up until I went back to prison for the big time. And that was when I did 25 years in prison.
Hmm.
And because I've gotten in so much trouble in every prison I went to, it put me in a situation that when I went up for my freedom, they says, no, Mr. Senator, remember you did this and that? And I said, yes. And they gave me 2 years on top of the 25. That made 27. And then they said, remember you got into more trouble, so forth and so on, Mr. Senator? And I said, yes. They gave me another 2 years. That made
Whoa.
29. And it's called a parole board. When you go in front of them, you deal with the parole board. And then
Mm-hmm.
I went in front of them again, and they said, Mr. Senator, man, listen, you've been getting into so much trouble, take another 2 years. So that was another twos, and that made 31. And when I went in front of them, they said, listen, we're not letting you go because you're not fit. And that's another thing, the consequences of your acts. A lot of times, what you do as a young man, it'll haunt you at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It'll
Yeah.
come back to
Yeah.
haunt you. Just like if a person, just throwing this out as example, just like if a person is a thief, they'll be like, oh, look at that thief. You know, you'll always
Mm-hmm.
have that kind of title. And that's what this program is about. Basically, putting yourself in a situation so you don't have that title and you don't have that mindset. And last but not least, you'll change your ways. I changed my ways dramatically since I've been in Trinidad because
Serious.
of my support group, you know, and the people I have around me, you know. But the thing is about the support group is that a lot of people don't have that support group. So you
Mm-hmm.
got to get mentored on Mondays. That's what this is about, mentoring
True.
Mondays.
True.
So we can mentor the youth, so we can talk to the youth, so we can basically, you know, give them our testimonies and give them some stories that they can believe in that's actually true. Because most of
Mm-hmm.
these guys, they'll tell you that they did this and did that and have
And
this and
it's
have
not
that,
true.
and it's not true.
True. Yeah,
And it's not true.
and to a kid looking up to an adult as a role model, they believe anything that comes out their mouth.
Of course. You know, it's easy to lead a person to the water, but it's hard to make a person drink. It's
Yeah.
hard to make a person. See, some people get caught up when you look at water. Sometimes you see your own reflection, you get
True.
stuck. You see, the thing about this water, the water is the wisdom that we give out to the youth, that we talk in our testimony, so we can basically better their mindset. Basically, what we can do is basically nurture their mindset, mold their mindset, so that way they can have a better mindset for tomorrow. Because it's not all about today. Today is here, but today goes into tomorrow. And you always got to look for the future. And if you play around with the wrong people, you never make it to tomorrow. You'll get stuck in today. And that's why sometimes you may have a guy that may be an old fool and he's stuck in his old ways because
Yeah.
he never
Yeah.
learned. He never learned. All he lived was a lifestyle of negativity, and they put him in a situation where he can't get out of that because that's all he knows. And the thing is that you can always change. You know, you can always change. Change would always come. It'll come through a friend. It'll come through whatever you read. It could come through just seeing certain things. It could come through this youth program. And that's what this program is about, change. That's what we're about at this program.
Of course.
The youth program is about basically correcting a person when they make the wrong moves. Just like if you're driving down the highway, they have lines on the highway, them
Mhm.
white lines. That's for you to stay in your lane. If you're not a
True.
tough guy, stay
True.
in your lane. Go work at another place. Go work at somewhere where you can adapt and become the man that you really need to be instead of trying to be a fake and a fraud and a phony and put yourself in a casket.
For friends, and it actually makes no sense trying to be something you're not, that you know deep down in your heart you're not,
Well,
right? But for a show, well, for friend impression, people do all sorts of things.
of course. Well, you know, a lot of time that deal with peer pressure, and that's why a lot of parents have to really scrutinize who their children hang out with.
True.
You know, because if you don't do that, you can just, you know, you got to stop things in the bud. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
A lot of times, you know, I remember one time when I was young and, you know, a lot of nonsense was going on in the area I lived in. And them people said, yo, they told my father, your son is the one that's starting all this nonsense out here. Your son is the one that's out here doing all this in the neighborhood.
Hmm.
And my father sat me down and he said, listen, man, if you're not going to be a man and do what you need to do, then you got to leave here. And I left there because I was thinking wrong was right. I was getting rewarded for bad behavior. I was thinking that it was cool. And to be honest with you, you know what I'm saying? When you do things, a lot of times it come back to haunt you. Just like if you hurt somebody, you know, that person could be home waiting for you when you come home and do something
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
And just like when you do something wrong, guess what? You know, in my case, what came back to haunt me is they said, Mike, you can't stay in the United States with your family. So I came down to Trinidad. I really didn't have no family,
Mhm.
you know, which is another story. And, you know, one day we would just talk about family and, you know, how you work around family to better yourself and you work with the family you have, you know. But for the sake of this conversation that we're talking about now, you know, a lot of times when you do something when you're young, it'll put you in a situation. And the situation that put me in to come back down to Trinidad after being gone for 48 years. I didn't know nowhere
Wow.
around Trinidad. I didn't know. I'm still learning Trinidad.
Really?
Yeah, I only been here 4 years, going on 4 years. I don't
Oh.
know much about Trinidad, but you know, I make sure. One thing I do know is not to get in trouble ever again. Never put myself in that situation. Never let nobody put me in a situation where I'll be back and losing the rest of my life.
Right, y'all. That was Mr. Michael Sennon for y'all. Hope you all are listening attentively. Like, share, but I don't know. Make sure and really and truly listen. This could really be a life changing topic. We'll be back after the break.
Which one of want face me? Gun fool, gun clown. Some boy no understand themselves at all. China, tell them say, hey, you Mr. Gun Fool. You come and tell me say you rule. All I say you grab your head gun skull. Now the officer hold you with a 45 and you they jump like a mule.
Right before we are back. We are back right before we are about to leave. So make sure and take in everything before it's over. Even though, Mr. Sanan, we would like you back sometime whenever you have time.
No
Please,
problem.
this is really an interesting story for me. Because I am a youth that like to learn from the elders, right? 'Cause you all done been through it, past the stages, and you live to tell the story.
That's right.
We go out there and end up in any kind of trouble, at least we have a little knowledge on it, so that we could come out from Jump Street. Some people just had to wait until they reach deep in it to really say, boy, nah, boy, you really make a change.
Yeah.
We don't want that to be us. And when I say us, I mean everybody. And not just me, not just children who are part of the youth club, but everybody, every youth out there, because it have youths, even though people might say, well, boy, the youth is the worst thing right now, but it have youths that really trying to hold their
Of
head,
course.
and walk the right path. You understand? So, anything else before we go?
Well, let me give these closing remarks. Life is precious, and we have to cherish it.
All the
The
time.
young youths
All the time.
and the young brothers and sisters that's growing up, if you can hear this conversation, I'm appealing to you to basically don't let nobody chain you up. Don't let nobody lead you down the wrong path. Don't let nobody tell you that wrong is right. And don't think for any time that just because you got brands, that those brands will be the same brands next year because them brands run out.
True.
Cherish your life.
True.
Your life is more important than a little bit of fast money. Your life is more important than some sneakers and some brands. And last but not least, your life is more important when you can make the decision for yourself and don't let nobody make the decision for you. Don't let nobody lead you down the wrong path. because the wrong path will put you in the wrong place, and in the wrong place you won't be there and you won't like it. You won't like death and you won't like being in prison. So basically, take your time, learn what's going on around you, be more involved in the youth clubs and the police youth clubs, and last but not least, respect your mother and your father and listen, because they are older than you and they've been there before you, and you can't tell them nothing if they've been there before you.
True, true. Especially when you have no kind of experience. So
Exactly.
it come like school. You know, right? It come like school, but yeah, you had to learn from the teacher. You have to learn from the teacher.
All right, good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. This was Men's Motivational Monday, the AR. DJ Phineas behind the laptop, and Mr. Michael Sanan, which has been a tremendous story, and we hope to see more of you again.